Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on First Alert 6 streaming this Monday morning. Just the two of us. How about that?
Yeah, just a copyright.
That's a good song. Can't sing too much. All right, so the weather has been like this all week and weekend long. This morning, though, much cooler.
Yeah, you may have gone to bed thinking, wow, it was 87 degrees today. It was so summer-like. Well, a little bit different out the door today, and that's a sign of some changes here over the next couple days. So let's talk through them. This is what it looks like on Dodge. You can see things grinding to a halt near 144th. We'll have a traffic update in full in just a bit, but there's a problem spot. Up above is less problematic, though. We've got more sunshine with a few clouds that are in place. We're at 50 degrees for where we're at. So there's what I'm talking about. The change in the temp, about 10 to 20 degrees from what we had out the door this morning. A little bit of a breeze out of the north alongside that, adding to the chill. So the jacket's going to be a good idea, not just for this morning, but really all day long. You can see what's going on here. We've got just a couple of those clouds that are dotting the sky as we start things off. Some showers to the west. Those are continuing to the north and east and will not impact our area, but we will eventually bring some showers in. So here's how things play out. A little too much cloud cover early on, but I like how the model here shows things once we get toward midday and beyond. So this is kind of what things will look like all morning long with kind of that mix of some clouds and sunshine. But you'll notice as I get into the afternoon, that cloud cover gets a little bit thicker and expands, and we'll also get a couple of spotty showers that start to show up north and west of the metro. For the metro, it's closer to 4 to 5 p.m. where we see those. These will be very light, just a few drops that you experience. For the evening commute, you may have to play with the wipers a little bit with some of these that move through. Also notice there's plenty of gaps out there, so there'll be some dry areas too. But those clouds will level our temps out. We'll peak about 69 and then hover in the upper 60s for the rest of the daylight hours. Still some spotty showers overnight. As we get into our Tuesday, you're going to see that the coverage of these showers expands more. They're still off and on, but we have more of them around, and that'll be the case pretty much all day for our Tuesday. Plenty of cloud cover with some occasional rounds of rain that move through. Even into the evening, we still have some of these around. So that means a cooler day here. We're talking low 60s, and just that's where we peak. A lot of the day spent in the 50s. We'll wrap up those showers as we get into our Tuesday night. But even with a couple of spotty showers included for Wednesday, all 3 days with a chance of at least getting some drops. So we're not talking about much in the way of rain. You can see it's about 1/4 of an inch for our ceiling of what we end up with all combined. So it's not really going to move the needle much. We'll just have some of those rain showers around. Temperatures, again, cooler for the next couple days with some of those showers around. There's the 62 I mentioned. 77 for Wednesday, though. So it's continuing that up and down pattern that we've seen with a little more summer-like feel by Wednesday.
All right. And how is the wind involved in all this? Because that's picking up too.
Yeah. If there's anything that's an indication that we are definitely in the middle of October, it's the wind getting a little more active, and that direction playing a role. You see the cooler temps that we have today, that's partially the cloud cover, but also a north wind that's in play there. And then we turn that to the south on Wednesday. So that's how we start to get some warmer temps returning to the area. Gusts up around 20 miles per hour for today. Tomorrow we see calmer winds in place. We'll have a little bit of a breeze, but it's more the cloud cover and rain that cools us down tomorrow. And then note how the direction of those winds start to change to the south. Gusts up around 25 miles per hour for Wednesday, up to about 30 to 35 miles per hour for Thursday. So that's really going to boost things. And you'll notice that I want to show you the 10-day forecast that we're up to 77 for a high on Wednesday, 81 for Thursday. So here we go. We're right back into that mode of summer temps and mid-70s for Friday. We will be looking at a small chance for a couple showers each of these days. Most of those days, though, are going to be dry. How about that weekend forecast? Right near 70 degrees, we're dry, we're not as windy, that's looking pretty nice, and still no real signs that we're looking at anything consistently fall-like, even into next week.
Wow, the weekend does look good. I'm glad you pointed that out. Yeah, give us something to look forward to. Okay, so how is traffic looking for people who are about to head out?
Well, so the good news is we are dry this morning.
Yeah.
So we aren't looking at any impact from that. The bad news is we got a couple problem spots that developed. You saw Dodge there around 144th, a lot of brake lights there.
Yeah.
Let's look at another one. This has been a consistent problem spot on 480. Now I'm looking here, and I do have some encouragement here because I'm not seeing the big backups that were in place as you were looking northbound on 480 approaching Leavenworth. I never got full confirmation of exactly what the issue here was. I suspect there was a crash. And still a little slow in this area, but as you get closer to Leavenworth, things starting to look a little better. So maybe this is just cleared. We have to work the backups through this area, and then we'll be looking at things improving. I'll keep an eye on it and first alert you if we do start to see that take place, or if things do get worse, of course, we'll first alert you to that. Another problem spot, I-80 as you're going westbound in the construction zone near Giles. No surprise there. That's an area that often flares up around this time. And when we look at the map, there's that 144th that I was pointing out, Dodge eastbound, where things are backing up. So watch for that, maybe an issue there as well. So a few spots where we are looking at some delays. A lot of our roads are moving along pretty well. 680, no problems. JFK looking pretty good, better than it usually does. But we do have a few spots that have some slowdowns that you'll need to keep an eye out for as we're starting off our day. So we're tracking that. We'll, of course, give you that first alert if anything bigger becomes an issue, but watch for those spots and make sure you have the jacket as you head out there.
Oh, for sure. You'll want that. All right, Jared, thank you. News now, investigators arrest 3 men over the weekend after a car meetup got out of hand. 20-year-old Landon Jordan was booked on charges of willful reckless driving. 20-year-old Angelo and Sarah was booked for the same thing, as well as avoiding arrests and unlawful street racing. 19-year-old Joseph McCormick was arrested for obstructing a peace officer. In addition to those 3, a child was also taken into custody. Well, a nasty crash on West Dodge Road sends several people to the hospital. Let's take a look from our CityCam network in the area of the eastbound lanes of West Dodge Road at 139th Street. It was closed for 2 hours last night. Here is what the scene looked like as First Alert 6 crews arrive. Details are few at this hour. We do know 4 cars were involved in the crash. Those taken to the hospital were described as having serious injuries. And the Douglas County Sheriff's Office is looking for tips in a stabbing that landed 3 men in the hospital. This happened near 70th and Bennington Road. We are told the fight involved as many as 10 people. 3 of men had knife wounds. All 3 were hospitalized and have since been released. But if you know anything that may help investigators, you are asked to call their tip line, that number right there on your screen. All right, Maria Cade at the safety desk this morning. Maria, you have the latest numbers on measles outbreaks around the country.
Yeah, it is still a really, really big issue, and they are adding to the record case count that the nation is experiencing. We've been talking about it for quite a few months, though. Even though that deadly measles outbreak in Texas, it was declared over in August, there are other outbreaks in other parts of the country that are still adding to those case numbers. So the CDC says an average of 27 new measles cases have been reported every single week since the end of August. For the year so far, there have been more than 1,500 cases nationwide, and this is the highest annual total since measles was declared eliminated. That was 25 years ago, back in 2000. So this, of course, is a very, very big deal and a very serious issue. As of late, there are some new measles outbreaks in Ohio, another one in South Carolina, a surge of cases in Minnesota too, and then there's still that outbreak that I think we talked about a couple months ago, Arizona-Utah border.
You're right.
So it is kind of spread out all over the country.
Going on. All right, to life expectancy now. You kind of have some good news and some bad news this morning.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag with this. There is an emerging crisis among adolescents and young adults, and a new study is focusing on this. They say that in 2023, life expectancy among women, it was more than 76 years. For men, it was 71 years. The good news, that is back up to pre-pandemic levels.
That is good news.
But the leading cause of death globally was heart disease and stroke rather than infectious disease. Experts say about half of the deaths for the diseases are preventable, but researchers actually found that there was a pretty large increase in deaths among one specific age group. They say people aged 20 to 39 in high-income areas here in North America. They say this is because of things like suicide, drug overdoses, high quantities of alcohol as well. The deaths, they also increased for ages 5 to 19. They say that specifically was because of infectious diseases as well as unintentional injuries. But now researchers are recommending that people really expand their health priorities and put a focus on having health care for that younger age group as well to
do
prevent
something
this.
about those young adults. That's sad to hear. All right, Maria Kate at the safety desk this morning, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Sure hope your Monday morning's getting off to a good start. Cloudy start here in the metro. It's also a cooler start. Let's check in with meteorologist Jared Lansford. Yesterday, we got up to the 80s. Doesn't sound like we're going to hit the 80s again today.
Yeah, we're going to subtract a fair amount off of that today.
We're going to do math to get to the forecast.
Yeah, 87 was yesterday. We're going to subtract. I'm going to stop.
Okay.
But no one wants to start their Monday that way. Let me show you what we're looking at out the door. We are looking at 10 to 20 degrees cooler, though, from where we started our Sunday. And it's a little bit cooler the further north and west you go because we've had more clearing that's been in place. A little more lingering cloud cover has kept us near 60 degrees. If you're in Clarinda and into Shenandoah, you can see how those temps drop off as you go north and west. So out the door, near 50 in the metro. Make sure you're prepared for that, and a little bit of a breeze that comes alongside that out of the north. It's going to make it feel cooler. And as we head through the day today, we've got some sunshine that's breaking through the clouds right now, but you see how much cloud cover there is off to the west? That's what's on the way for the rest of the day. So again, likely partly cloudy through about midday, and then the clouds really take over as we get into the afternoon. We start to get a couple spotty showers that develop north and west of the metro early in the afternoon, and we'll fill that in a little bit as we get toward the evening commute. Still going to have some dry pockets, but occasionally get some drops that fall as well. We'll see the rain expand once we get into tomorrow morning. We could have some more showers around by the time we're talking about the morning drive. So first alert to that. That could be an impact for us. And especially as we go through the morning hours tomorrow and into the afternoon, we'll look at some rounds of these showers continuing to make their way through from time to time. That's going to lead to a struggle on the warming front. I'm only expecting us to get to 62 for a high, and most of the day spent in the 50s with cloud cover and rain. Maybe a little difficult to get up and running tomorrow with that being the situation. All that said, that's a lot closer to where we should be this time of year. 69, 62 for the next 2 days. Our average high is 67. So we've just been way above average for the first half of October, and we're back in that mode for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We look at 70s and even an 81 degree high for us on Thursday. So when we're talking about it being mid-October, a lot of times you think, well, this should be frost time frame, but when we're looking long term, the pattern's still not keeping, not letting us get any of that cooler air out of Canada and into our area. You've got a ridge in place as we go through the back half of this week. The weekend does see a little bit of a dip, and you will notice this when we look at the 10-day here in just a little bit. But look what happens next week. Another surge of warm air, and we're just not really seeing these blues that indicate those cooler temps that would drop us off quite a bit at night to move into our area as we even head into next week. So when we start talking about what kind of temps we can expect, you can see that we have those highs I just mentioned. Notice the lows just not really dropping off. A lot of 50s, some 60s even showing up, and that's a product of some of that cloud cover we'll have the next few days alongside the wind keeping us from really dropping off as we head through this work week. So no real cold starts that we have through the course of the week, and no frost certainly in sight.
No frost, but what about a few days down the line? Will we get more fall-like weather? People are wanting it.
We'll get closer.
Oh, okay.
we're going to see things drop off from that 80 degrees, but we're still looking at hovering right near 70 degrees for high temps. The night times get a little bit more closer to where we should be with some lower 40s, but then we get in the day, we just start warming things up. And I will say, what you see there on Tuesday, don't be surprised if that starts to go up. We're starting to get some indications that we have a front that comes into the area, and out ahead of that, we could really see those temps surge and get things a little bit windy too. So that could be another day that ends up going up with our temps.
My word, that forecast has got some of all the temperatures in it.
Yeah, a little bit for everybody.
Yeah.
Just not really late October.
Well, we'll get there eventually.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Jared, thank you. News now, one person's in the hospital after being hit by a car in South Omaha. This happened in the neighborhood near 36th and W. Dispatchers tell us the victim's injuries are not life-threatening. We are approaching 2 full weeks since the government shutdown began. Nebraska Representative Mike Flood says he's asking federal workers to stay on the job. Military members were supposed to stop receiving paychecks this Wednesday. President Trump says he's directed government funding toward making sure they still get paid. Other federal workers are still required to work despite the lack of pay. Flood says he talked to staff with the National Weather Service.
I also visited with the TSA agents in the line at the airport. They want to know when this is going to end.
As for other impacts from the shutdown, WIC and SNAP are still unavailable to families, and the Nebraska Farm Bill is still frozen. Telehealth for seniors isn't being funded, so they're losing access. Federal flood insurance is still on pause with no new policies being issued. Meanwhile, the Huskers winning ways, landing them in the latest AP poll. Nebraska is ranked 25th in the nation. How about that? Following Saturday's 34-31 win at Maryland. It's the first time in the rankings since September of last year. Good to see them in the top 25. Still ahead this morning, grab your Lederhosen and come with an empty stomach for this German celebration. Plus, a wild police chase with an unexpected escapee when we come back. Well, it was anything but your typical police chase in one Ohio town.
Yeah, police in Parma Heights released body cam footage after officers chased a giant inflatable pumpkin that broke free from a home. So the pumpkin was rolling all around until an officer and a passerby managed to corral it. Then they say it was safely returned to the homeowner's yard. How's that for a police chase?
You think that pumpkin had seedy intentions?
Yeah, obviously. Look at it. Running around, making a police chase after it.
You never know what your day is going to be if you're a police officer, right?
So true. Well, new this morning, many communities across the U.S. are marking Oktoberfest.
And the German festival has a rich tradition that dates all the way back to 1810. That's when Bavarian Crown Prince Louis, who later became Louis I of Bavaria, was married to Bavarian royalty, invited the people of Munich to attend all of the festivities, including horse races. The following year, the same festivities took place, and the tradition of Oktoberfest caught on. That guy's having a good time. The annual festival is often celebrated either in late September or early October. Some of the holiday traditions include drinking, of course, beer, and enjoying festive foods like bratwurst. I know we have big Oktoberfest here in Omaha and this area.
I hear we have some bratwurst. Let's bring those out.
No, I don't think we have that.
Too early for the delivery. Coming later.
That's a shame, isn't it? Yes, this looks delicious. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to get ready for our update on the Today Show. Of course, you can watch it here on streaming or over the air. Sure hope you have a great day.
Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts now.
Good Monday morning, everybody. It is 7:26. I'm Cerise Cole. Let's get right to meteorologist Jared Lansford, who's tracking weather and traffic this morning. Jared?
We have a new crash to First Alert UT. This is right near 144th and Chandler. Highway 50 is another name for that road. So just off to the south of Harrison. Watch for some possible delays that may show up in this area as a result of that crash that is showing up there. Again, that's 144th and Chandler with that crash. As we look at the I-80 area right around Giles, you can see that we're actually not doing all that bad as you're making your way westbound, but eastbound is a little bit sluggish at this point. And when we look at the map, you can see that starting to show up a little bit. So watch for that. Dodge also a little slow as you're around 144th. Now, thankfully, we're dry. We don't have any issues there with any kind of rain as we're starting off our day. Even some sunshine breaking through clouds. 50 degrees is where we stand. A little bit of a breeze out of the north as well. That about 10, 15 miles per hour. So cooler start. Make sure you have the jacket. We'll be looking at this thicker cloud cover off to the west start to push its way in later today. And as that takes place, you can see our high actually takes place about 2, 3 o'clock this afternoon instead of closer to 4 like it normally does. That's because that cloud cover limiting the warming. So about 69 where we land, and a chance for a few spotty light showers by the time we make our way into the evening commute. May have to play with the windshield wipers a little bit at that point. Also some gusts around 20 miles per hour out of the north to northeast. Reese.
All right, Jared, thank you. Investigators arrest 3 men over the weekend after a car meetup got out of hand. 20-year-old Landon Jordan was booked on charges of willful reckless driving. 20-year-old Angelo and Sarah was booked for the same thing, as well as avoiding arrest and unlawful street racing. A 19-year-old Joseph McCormick was arrested for obstructing a police officer, along with a child taken into custody. It is 7:28. We're back with another update for you in about 25 minutes. See you then.